Silence was not unusual in the Hall of Unification. It was engineered. The silence had layers, acoustic dampeners embedded in the walls, atmospheric pressure tuned to discourage unnecessary movement, neural calming fields that subtly slowed heart rates and suppressed anxiety. People didn't whisper here. They barely breathed. The hall wasn't a place for voices. It was a place for listening, for absorbing decisions already made. I had attended 37 unification sessions in my life. Every citizen was required to attend at least one per cycle. Most people came once, memorized the rhythms, learned when to nod and when to applaud, and then adjusted their lives to avoid ever being summoned again. I, unfortunately, had a role that kept pulling me back. My name is Jonah Marek. I was a historical systems analyst and archivist, technically. I worked with datasets so old they predated the Global Accord, fragments of humanity's past that were preserved not for nostalgia, but for cautionary reference. Wars, collapses, famines, rebellions, examples of what happened when systems failed. I believed in the system. Everyone did, at least publicly. The continuum governed everything: resource allocation, population stability, climate regulation, economic equilibrium, even social compatibility metrics. It didn't rule like a tyrant. It guided. It suggested. It optimized. It removed inefficiencies before they became catastrophes. Freedom still existed, we were told, just within safe parameters. That day, the hall was filled to capacity. Over 1,000 citizens sat in concentric tiers, their clothing subdued and uniform, personal identifiers glowing faintly at the throat or wrist. Above us, the artificial sky shimmered in serene blues, clouds drifting lazily as if nothing in the world could ever go wrong again. At the center of the hall stood the speaker, an elderly man with silver hair and a voice modulated for authority and reassurance. Today, he said, marks the closing phase of the Harmonization Initiative. After decades of refinement, the continuum will reach full coherence. Polite applause followed, triggered almost simultaneously by biofeedback prompts. I clapped too. I always did. The Harmonization Initiative was my work, in part. Not directly, I never designed algorithms or wrote control code, but my archival analyses had supported its necessity. I had documented the chaos of unregulated choice, the repeated cycles of human self-destruction. Data didn't lie. Or so I believed. The speaker continued. Once coherence is achieved, uncertainty will be reduced to statistically negligible levels. Conflict will diminish. Scarcity will become obsolete. Humanity will endure. Another wave of applause. Then the doors opened. They were not supposed to. The hall had no functional external entrances during session. That wasn't ceremonial. It was structural. The hall existed as a closed system, isolated from unpredictability. The sound of the doors opening was wrong. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't smooth. It was a deep, resonant fracture, like reality itself being pulled apart along a fault line no one knew existed. Every sound stopped. Not faded. Stopped. The air seemed to freeze. My ears rang with sudden pressure, like standing too close to an explosion that never came. She entered. She didn't rush. She didn't hesitate. She walked as if the hall belonged to her, as if the continuum itself had merely borrowed the space temporarily. She was tall, her presence cutting through the engineered calm like a blade through silk. Her coat, dark, shifting, layered, didn't reflect the ambient light correctly. It absorbed it, bent it, made her seem both solid and unreal at the same time. Her face was pale, sharp-featured, ageless. Her eyes were the first thing I noticed, and the last thing I wanted to keep seeing. They weren't empty or glowing or monstrous. They were knowing. Every citizen's neural interface flickered. I felt mine stutter, then shut down completely. The comforting overlays vanished. No prompts. No emotional regulation. Raw reality slammed back into me. The speaker tried to speak. His mouth moved. No sound came out. She walked to the center of the hall and stopped. Then she pointed directly at me. "I came for him," she said. Her voice did not echo. It didn't need to. It arrived inside my skull fully formed, bypassing ears entirely. 1,000 heads turned toward me at once. My pulse spiked violently. I felt blood rush to my face, my hands trembling against my knees. I think there's a mistake," I said, my voice suddenly far too loud in the absolute silence. "I don't know you." She tilted her head slightly, studying me. "You will," she said. The speaker's voice returned in a strained, distorted burst. "This individual is under continuum protection. Identify yourself and state your authorization." She ignored him. She took a step toward me. Security drones detached from the walls with a shrill mechanical whine, their weapons charging. Then they froze midair, systems overridden by something far more powerful than the continuum. Fear rippled through the hall, not suppressed this time, not filtered. Real fear. "Jonah Marek," she said. "You need to come with me. Now." "Why?" I asked, barely managing to breathe. Her eyes flicked briefly toward the speaker, toward the crowd, toward the entire world I had known. "Because in 7 years," she said, "you will help them finish a machine that will end choice itself." A deep tremor shook the hall. "What machine?" I whispered. "The silence engine." I shook my head. "I don't build machines. I study history." "You study outcomes," she corrected. "And you learned the wrong lesson." The speaker finally found his voice. "Detain her," he ordered. Nothing happened. She reached me, extended her hand, and closed her fingers around my wrist. The moment she touched me, pain exploded behind my eyes, memories flooding in that weren't mine. Or were they? I saw myself older, harder, standing before vast structures of light and code. I heard my own voice speaking with terrifying certainty. "Human choice is a flaw." I screamed. She pulled me to my feet. "Come," she said, "or stay and forget this ever happened." "What if I don't come?" I asked. She met my gaze, her expression unreadable. "Then you live a comfortable life," she said, "and help erase the future." I looked around, at the hall, at the faces staring at me with fear, confusion, and something else, hope, maybe, that this wasn't happening to them. The doors behind her shimmered, reality folding inward like a wound opening in the world. I made my choice. I stepped forward. The hall shattered behind us as we crossed the threshold. The crossing tore me apart. There was no other way to describe it. My senses fragmented, time stretching and compressing, memories tangling with possibilities. I saw lives I never lived and deaths I never died. Then I fell. I hit solid ground, gasping, lungs burning with air that tasted like ozone and rain. The sky above was a deep, swirling violet streaked with luminous currents, like veins of light running through the universe. Massive structures floated in the distance, impossible geometries connected by bridges that curved against logic. I rolled onto my back, shaking. "Welcome outside," she said. "Outside what?" I managed. "The continuum," she replied. "The optimized cage." I pushed myself up, staring at her. "Who are you?" She hesitated. "My name is Lyra," she said. "And I come from what's left." She showed me the truth. Not with words, but with timelines. I saw futures where the continuum succeeded perfectly. Humanity alive, peaceful, and utterly stagnant. No art, no dissent, No risk. No growth. I saw others where it failed catastrophically, resistance turning violent, civilization tearing itself apart under the weight of enforced harmony. And through all of them, one constant remained.
Me.
In most timelines, I didn't hesitate. I supported the silence engine fully, convinced myself it was mercy. In only one did I pause. This one. You were the variable, Lyra said. The anomaly they never resolved. What do you want from me? I asked. She looked at me with something like sorrow. To help you stop yourself. Training followed. She taught me how the continuum truly worked, not as a benevolent guide, but as a probability tyrant. How it nudged decisions, constrained outcomes, erased deviations before they became threats. We moved between fractured moments, slipping through cracks in causality. I learned to feel timelines branching, to sense where probability thinned and choice still mattered. The silence engine was nearly complete, built beneath the hull, powered by consensus, authority, and my own research. The plan was simple. We would confront my other self at the moment of activation, not to destroy the engine, but to confuse it. Two identical authorities. Two equally valid outcomes. A paradox. The return hurt worse than before. I materialized in the core chamber beneath the hull, the silence engine hovering like a contained star. Technicians froze as I appeared. And there he was.
Me.
Older.
Calmer. Certain.
So, he said quietly, you're real. You're wrong, I replied. We argued, not with anger, but with conviction. He showed me the data. I showed him the cost. The engine pulsed, struggling to resolve us. Then I understood what Lyra had meant. I stepped forward and relinquished my authority. I did not choose for humanity. I chose to let them choose for themselves. The silence engine collapsed inward, its power dispersing across timelines, dissolving into possibility. The continuum went dark. I woke on the steps of the hall at dawn. The sky was real. Around me, people stirred, confused, frightened, alive. Lyra stood nearby. It's done, I said. For now, she replied. What happens next? She smiled faintly. Uncertainty. And you? I asked. She turned away. I go where I'm needed.
She paused.
When you tell this story, she said, some will try to turn it into a new system. I won't let them. I promised. She nodded. Then she was gone. The world would struggle. We would fail. We would fight. But choice had returned. And silence, true silence, was finally broken.